And as this campaign goes on of both maximum pressure and military escalation, it seems now that both the United States and Venezuela are anticipating an imminent regime change war. In recent days, Venezuela is putting shipping containers and heavy machinery blocking major access roads into Venezuela. They're taking control over air defense at their airports. And the United States has been signaling that they might begin operations on Venezuelan soil, meaning that they will be launching airstrikes or missile strikes from naval vessels against what they say are drug smuggling operations inside Venezuela on their actual territory. And everybody could see where this is headed. And where this is headed is a decapitation. Earlier this year, the Trump administration put a $50 million bounty on the head of Nicolas Maduro, which incentivizes traitors inside of his government. If they want to sell out, they anticipate the regime is crumbling, they can collaborate with the United States and get Maduro assassinated, get him arrested, capture him, overthrow his government, something like that. So this is we're revisiting this maximum pressure campaign on Venezuela. Now, it's in this context, on the cusp of another war, that there's some reporting from the New York Times, and this is disputed, but there is a piece out in the New York Times today which says that the Maduro regime in Venezuela actually offered the United States a deal. So why are we doing all of this? It is because the Venezuelan regime is socialist. They're ideologically third worldist, socialist. They're against Washington. They're against the West. They're aligned with China, Russia, and Iran. They get Russian defense equipment. They have Chinese investment. They collaborate with the Iranian military. This is all very worrying for the United States. And this is why we want to overthrow that regime, and we want Venezuela to buy American military equipment. We want Venezuela to have American investment. We want their oil. We want their gold. We want their stuff. We don't want them to be used as a base of operations to undermine U.S. influence in the Caribbean and in South America.
This is also true, but I also don't want Donald Trump to be busy with almost every country in the world and not our own country. His slogan is America first, right? Just look at last year. Ukraine, Pakistan, India, Gaza, Israel, now Venezuela, excuse me. Donald Trump is busy with so many countries in the world, but he is almost, I feel like he's not even busy with the United States anymore. Like, he should focus more on the United States. There are enough problems we should solve in our own country instead of being busy with all these other countries. And don't get me wrong, I know Venezuela is a potential threat to the United States. Of course, Nick didn't even talk about the shitload of drugs they send into our countries. They are a danger, that's so true. But I feel like we have more important work to do in our own countries, and maybe after we solve those problems, then we can maybe focus on countries like Venezuela. Like what are we even doing there? Just like, it's such a waste of time. It's not America first with Donald Trump now, it's America last. Like, he should focus more on the United States. Feel free to debate me, but it's annoying me so much that Donald Trump is busy with almost every country in the world, but not our own country. It's just stupid.
Well, the Maduro regime offered the United States a deal. And I haven't seen this reported anywhere else. I don't see it being talked about a lot, but apparently Rick Grenell, who is in the Trump administration, he's one of the envoys, is in talks with the Maduro regime, some of the high-ranking personnel, that Venezuela is going to stop collaborating with Russia, China, and Iran. They're going to give us their oil and gold revenue. They're going to give us the revenue from future oil and gold projects. And basically, they're going to give up. They're waving the white flag. And the catch is that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has vetoed this. They offered us a deal. They said, you can have all the oil, all the gold. They have the largest proven oil reserves in the world, massive amounts of gold. They're giving it all away. They said, we give up. We want to join the United States because Maduro doesn't want to die. He knows that's going to be a one-sided conflict. He knows the jig is up. They said, we'll give you all of our natural resource wealth and we will strategically align with you. Just don't go to war. Rubio vetoes the deal and says, not good enough. Maduro has to go. And this is a story It says, quote, Venezuelan officials hoping to end their country's clash with the United States offered the Trump administration a dominant stake in Venezuela's oil and other mineral wealth in discussions that lasted for months, according to multiple people close to the talks. Under a deal discussed between a senior U.S. official and Mr. Maduro's top aides, the Venezuelan strongman offered to open up all existing and future oil and gold projects to American companies, give preferential contracts to American business, reverse the flow of Venezuelan oil exports from China to the United States, and slash his country's energy and mining contracts with Chinese, Iranian, and Russian firms.
So good, right? That's everything we ask for. So why are we not accepting this deal instead of like wasting our time, wasting our resources, even wasting our military again on this country? This is all we wanted, right? So why has this been vetoed? Just accept this and call it a deal and it's over. We can focus on something else. Our own country.
Okay. Well, isn't that what we want? Isn't that everything that we want and more? It sounds too good to be true, but if you can secure this, is that not what we want in Venezuela? Is their gold, their oil, their minerals, stop their collaboration and cooperation with our adversaries and align with the United States? What's wrong with this? It says the Trump administration ended up rebuffing the economic concessions and cut off diplomacy with Venezuela last week. The move killed the deal, at least for now, according to people close to the discussion. Though the United States has been targeting what it calls drug boats, the cutoff of diplomacy, the military buildup near Venezuela, and the increasingly strident threats against Maduro by Trump administration officials have led many in both countries to think that the real objective is Mr. Maduro's removal. Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, has been the leading voice in the administration's push to oust Maduro. He has called him an illegitimate leader who is a fugitive from American justice and has been skeptical of the diplomatic approach conducted by Special Envoy Richard Grenell. Okay, who cares? Who cares? It's like he's giving us gold, oil, minerals, contracts, money. He's just gonna give it all up. And we're like, no, not good enough because you're a bad guy. You're a bad hombre. You're an illegitimate leader. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Take the money. It says, while Mr. Grenell and Venezuelan officials made progress on economic issues, they failed to agree on Maduro's political future. Grenell and Maduro's envoys negotiated a deal. During this time, the leader of Venezuela's main opposition movement, Maria Corina Machado, pitched her own economic proposal. She argued that even greater economic wealth, up to $1.7 trillion in 15 years, awaited U.S. companies in Venezuela if her movement launched a political transition, meaning regime change. Okay, so why? But why? And here's why I started the conversation by talking about non-intervention, war, regime change. What I like about Trump is he recognizes that the power of the American military frequently comes from not even actually using it. It is the deterrent power of the military. War only becomes inevitable when both sides think they can test the willingness or the ability of the other side to enforce their will, basically.
This is very true, and exactly for this reason, Venezuela is not gonna do anything against the United States Army. Like, I barely think, do they even have fighter jets in Venezuela? Like, I feel like they barely have an army. They don't even have enough money to feed for food. So I won't be surprised if they don't even have an army, but correct me if I'm wrong. Of course, I know they will probably have an army, but it's nothing compared to the United States Army. It's like peanuts. So they cannot even have, there can't even be a war between the United States and Venezuela. Like, we will destroy them in 2 hours. So that's completely, this is just nuts. But on the other hand, I'm also like, why are we busy with this? This is such a waste of time. And don't forget about this. If this war if we will have this war, do you know how many people, how many refugees we will have again into our countries? All these people will flee, or they will leave Venezuela to go to the United States, to go to other places, because they don't want to be there if their country is getting bombed. I mean, like, it's just not good for it. No matter how this turns out, it's just bad for our country. It is true.
In other words, Venezuela knows they would lose a war. They don't want to find that out the hard way. They know that already. They know that if the United States really wanted to, that we could come in, kill their leaders, take their stuff, and it's over, and they could not resist at all. It's a small country. It's like 30 million people. They're poor. They don't have a big military. The government is so corrupt. The people are against the regime or ambivalent. So they're not going to put up resistance. And these leaders, they don't want to die, and they don't want to be martyrs. For what? They're criminals. They're crooks. And so the power of the U.S. military is that you just have it. It has a weight by itself. And the only time a country is going to test the U.S. military is if they think that they can either overcome the U.S. military in terms of force, that they'll be able to destroy more equipment or kill more personnel, or strategically or tactically defeat the U.S. military like a China or Russia, or they're testing the U.S. willingness to use the military. Like, let's say, Iran, for example, or some other country. They know they would lose if the United States went to war, but they doubt that the United States is willing to do it. So the U.S. military has deterrent power. Trump understands that, and that is a good foreign policy. Throwing our weight around, using the weight and the might of the military without actually using the guns, without actually shooting, to get U.S. interests, to secure concessions and benefits for Americans. And this is a very tangible one. Venezuela has gold and oil, and they don't efficiently extract either of them. Because of the sanctions, the corruption, their government is inefficient. They're under attack from the West. The people are demoralized. If the United States came in and managed these resources, it would make us richer. We would have more of them. We would have a greater share of them, and Venezuela would extract more of them. Those are tangible benefits. That's more energy for the United States, which we badly need. It's more gold for the United States, which is good. Whatever other minerals they have at their disposal. And it's another country that's aligned with the United States, another country we don't have to worry about. That's a good deal. And so you look at the foreign policy being conducted by the Trump administration, this is what he always does. It's these demonstrations of power, demonstrations of force, exercises, small targeted strikes to demonstrate that we have this military, we're willing to use it, you don't want to mess with us, so you should just let us have our way.
That's true, and I agree on this 100%. And like it's kind of like a smart idea to do this, but it's also kind of dangerous. I mean, you're not gonna threat with like a war, right? What if they say, okay, let's go, we will start a war, and of course, like I said before, we will win this in 2 hours. That's not a problem, but still, I mean, like I don't think people want to have like a war again, like we can experience from the past. Every war we had, it was not like the best for our country. Cost a lot of money. We got like a lot of problems with it as well, and many refugees who come to our country. So at the end, it will probably even cost us more than we make from it. I mean, like, of course, yeah, the oil and the gold, it's worth a lot of money. But do you know how much all these refugees, if they come to the United States, do you think that doesn't cost us any money? But I mean, like, I get the point, and it's kind of smart politics from Donald Trump, what he's doing here. But it's also kind of dangerous. It's kind of risky, if you ask me. You're not going to threat with a war, because what if they say, okay, let's go? Then we have a war again in 2025. I don't think that's the best solution. I think there are better solutions to get our goals, to get this.
And that I'm totally in favor of. But in this case, this is a very interesting contrast. Because we sort of got what we wanted here, didn't we? It worked. Maduro is convinced. He's scared. He knows we are coming for him. He knows that we can destroy him. We're willing to do it, and we're there. He sees the ships off the coast. Do you think this guy wants to die? He's a petty communist thief. So he's not a martyr like Hamas. You know, they want to die in a holy war or something. He sees it. He's giving it up. He says, all right, look, I recognize this is over. It's coming down. You can have the gold, oil, whatever you want. Isn't that the point? Did you forget that that's the whole point of having a military? We have a huge Navy. We have a huge Air Force. We bring it to their shore. They freak out. They say, all right, take whatever you want. Take the oil, the gold, and we'll stop doing business with Russia and China. The whole point then is to work out a deal. And then you don't need a military intervention because realistically, this is not a military intervention. We destroyed like 3 tiny boats. That's nothing. And they were either traffickers, human traffickers, drug traffickers. I mean, you know, that's not a real intervention. And there's no war. There's no destabilization. There's no chaos. There's no regime change. You don't get all those negative externalities that come with this, the risks. So why not then accept the deal? It looks like now the deal is off, at least for now. This is what this article says, that last week, the administration shut down all the diplomacy because Rubio, our Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, well, he just wants Maduro's head on a platter because he's an illegitimate ruler. And you have to ask, why is that? What is really the point there? Because if you have regime change in Venezuela, now you have all kinds of problems. Does Venezuela activate terrorists in the United States? Maybe that's far-fetched, but you don't know that. Millions of Venezuelans have come here illegally in the past 5 or 6 years. And if Venezuela had some kind of dead man switch, if they anticipate that the United States is looking to oust them eventually, is that a possibility that the war will be visited on our shores? You can never discount that.
Exactly, and this is exactly what I meant before. It's such 5-6 million, he just said. Do you know how many people those are? That's insane. And there will, if this war starts, or if we have like a regime change, many more people will probably come because the country is already like kind of a shithole now, and it will only be worse. So all these people will leave the country, of course, and they will come to the United States. Like you know this now already, and as well, if you just remove this lunatic Maduro, you don't know who is going to be the next lunatic. Maybe we have a guy who is even worse. I mean, it's almost impossible to be like worse than Maduro, but it's kind of like a dangerous game to play this, because I feel like you can better just solve it with like politics and just like talk with this guy. And of course, it's kind of hard, but I feel like it's better than like this whole regime change, because like I said before, who is gonna be the next president? Like an MS-13 gang member or something is gonna be the next president? No, but all jokes aside, like, they literally want to give us what we ask for, what we want, the gold, the oil. So what is the problem? Just like leave this guy alone, tell him, okay, you have to give everything to us and you need to calm down. You're going to buy our military goods. You're going to listen to us. You're going to do whatever you want. You're not going to send any drugs into our country anymore. And then it's like, fine, right? I mean, like, then he can still, in my opinion, he can still be the president of Venezuela. That's not a problem. If he just listens to us and like works with us, then it's good, right? So I don't understand why we should like invest more time, resources, money, and just in this whole situation if we can just solve it very easily and fast.
That's one, and maybe that's the least likely. But the greater risk, what if you find yourself in a protracted counterinsurgency? Who comes to power next? They say this opposition leader. Well, what if there isn't buy-in? What if there's competing factions? What if it turns into a civil war? What if there's a revival of legitimate narco-terrorism like the FARC in Colombia? What happens if non-state actors, drug smugglers, other criminal elements? What if you get a resurgence of that kind of violence in South America, Central America, or the United States? Do we want to actually have U.S. military forces occupying and fighting Venezuela? And what's more, we're in other wars. We're in Ukraine. We're trying to bolster Taiwan. We're maybe just averted a crisis in the Middle East. Is another war, another military commitment really what we want? Even if it'll be quick and relatively easy, that's assuming if everything goes according to plan. Do we really need another war? Do we really need to be fighting, looking for Maduro in the jungle, looking for his loyalists or something like that? And that's not even to think about what happens when this society undergoes a convulsion. We have no idea what's on the other side of this. Terrorism, destabilization, war, you never know what you're going to get. Are we then going to get another exodus of Venezuelans? Will it destabilize the neighboring countries like Brazil and Colombia? Will there be spillover into Guyana? And will people then flee to the United States? Will we be then forced to accept them like we've been forced to accept Haitians, Venezuelans, Salvadorians, Guatemalans? Like, what are we thinking here?
Exactly. And this is, I completely agree. Like, surprise, surprise. But this is exactly the reason why I completely agree with Nick. And it's just so true. It's like the risk is too high. The risk is just too high, if you ask me. But anyways, I'm very curious about your opinion in this situation. Do you agree with Nick? Do you disagree with Nick? Please share your opinion in the comments. I'm very curious. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you really like this video, consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And last but not least, guys, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.